What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a super terrific. Why are my hands up here? Super terrific, amazing, spectacular, another episode of the
Yep.
High Five Guys this week. We got Todd on the other end.
I'm here. This is
Todd,
definitely going to be the episode where we pop, right? Everybody starts listening.
I,
Just
I think
celebrities, everything.
thousands of people, and really
I
appreciate you all joining us. Go for it.
I think we're going to be big in the theater community. I can feel it. Just all of Broadway.
Nice.
Yeah. Somehow they're
They're
all gonna.
excited.
Yeah.
I think you know what the word is starting to spread. And not to liken it like a wildfire, but it's coming. You get that one thing, that one share that someone does, that one like, that one comment, and it's just gonna take off.
Goes
So
from there. Yep.
yeah, like SpaceX rocket. That's what it's gonna
I mean,
be.
most people do the easy way out, right? And they do something they know is just going to piss everybody off. And that's definitely a way to get attention, but that ain't our vibe, right? We are
Nah,
positive vibes. So
absolutely.
we're gonna do it the good guy way.
Yeah, and it's good. We need that. There's a lot of fun stuff, a lot of positive vibes to share this week.
Yeah,
And this week, the episode is going to be about video games, and it
sure is.
may seem, it could be like a guy thing, or you may think it's a guy thing. There's plenty of women that play video games and like games just as much, and so we're going to hit home on some of the ones that certainly have shaped our past, and just I'll call it hours of our past and maybe days of our past that we've spent playing these video games. We're gonna have some fun. I know I came across a list that's got some interesting, top games. We'll hit you with some high fives just because people do good stuff and we want to recognize them, give them a shout out. So that's what we're
Yep.
about here, and we're gonna have fun. That's the most important thing. So strap your seatbelts on. We're gonna go for a little ride here. And
Let's
so,
do it.
with that being said, Todd, it's actually been a long time since we've talked. I know we shared some messages back and forth, text messages, but we actually haven't talked since I think last time we got together. So, what on earth is going on? What's happening?
Yeah, awesome week. It's been pretty blazing hot, right? It's been 90s day to day. And weekend was awesome.
Nice.
Barbecue, Stacey and I went to this barbecue, Caribbean centric Saturday. It was fantastic. Really good food they had. Good music playing. We didn't get rained on till very late in the thing.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, it rained eventually, but that was late at night. It was perfect through most of it. And then Sunday, huge bike ride. So, I've been getting more and more into this bike life. Been researching stuff online. I know I need to get a new hybrid bike, right? One that's great on the roads, but also can go a little bit off road. I don't know if I need the full on hardcore straight road bike
Absolutely.
like Mr. Russ, but yeah. But I could use one of those hybrid bikes. I have a slightly older school one. It's about it's one generation behind, a little heavier, whatever else. A little more off-road friendly. I mean, it'll do both, right? It's actually good on the roads too, but it's a little more off-road centric.
You want something that can handle, let's say, gravel trails, like packed gravel in case, or has a thicker tire, right? A little more comfortable.
But it's lighter, more there's all the modern amenities, right? See, I could be wrong, but it just seems like maybe over the past 10 years, it seems like bikes have just gone to a whole new level too. It's at least from what I'm seeing. Out there. Yeah, as I go to the stores, I'm like, oh, these are well superior to what I have. So I've been looking around. But sorry, but yeah, I'm going on a tangent. But we had a great ride. It was awesome.
How far did you go?
West Side Highway. So we originally were going to start right around Battery Park. So for anybody who's not near Manhattan, this is pretty far south on the island of Manhattan, New York City. It's in the it's not too far from Wall Street, right? That's about where that is. So it's below the numbered streets and stuff. And then all the way up to Dykeman Park, which you may know from if anybody who happens to follow like YouTube basketball. It's where like
Is that a
Kobe
big
Bryant,
spot? Okay.
yeah, Kobe and like Durant and stuff have shown up there and dropped 80 points on people. Like it's one of these like legendary like schoolyard basketball court areas. Funny enough, we actually didn't see the court, but we got up to that park. So that actually and we did a round trip and it was about 29 miles total.
I mean,
'Cause
that's a long time.
it was a long ride. It was comfortable the whole way up. The way back, we were fighting what had to be a 20-mile-an-hour wind. Well, I don't know. I don't know how to judge wind speed, but it was a strong wind, and like 4 of the miles coming back were out in the open.
Yeah.
The wind was directly in our face. It was as tough as the rest of the ride combined.
And just not fun. I'm sure going into any headwind is not fun.
Brutal. Yeah. I mean, whatever. We're still having fun, but like it was a test. I mean, I was perfectly comfortable to that point, and then suddenly it was like, oh, my legs are starting to give out on me. So
no, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Was it a bike? So this was your bike that you had?
Yeah.
You right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
a little
first
older,
city
a
bikes.
little heavier. Like, yeah, I could. Oh, right. No, not the same. That was interesting too. Interesting observation. Like, I would say, I think the number is more than half of what passed us and we passed was electric, powered or assisted devices.
Yep.
Tons of those scooters, tons of the city bikes with the electric assist, a lot of just other electric bikes. It was a very high number.
Yeah, and I know there's 1 or 2 people in our development that actually have electric bikes too, and it helps with those that maybe don't have the athleticism or have some issues, right? Chronic issues, they can't pedal. But it's interesting. I mean, maybe you're kind of going to with like EV cars, right? There's more and more EV cars now, just out and about. But no, to see half of them. Or
I think on any ordinary day I would have been totally fine, but like when that wind hit, I was like, "Oh, this was the day that I needed it." Like, ordinary I'd be like, "Oh, I love the fact, I love the workout that I'm getting."
Yeah,
but it hit a moment where it was like it's that wind was worse. I was telling you the other day, like that was worse than riding like an uphill. It was harder than going uphill.
Yeah. It makes it feel bad. I know I went for a little bike ride on Sunday morning, and same thing. There's one area where I ride. It's really close to my house, but I know it's open, like what you experience, and you get wind, and it's just naturally you're pedaling as fast, if not faster. You're actually going a little bit slower. It feels like everything is going against you.
So I tested it a few times. Like I was going a decent speed, and I, okay, what happened if I stopped pedaling? I stopped within 5 meters, maybe. Yeah. From like the faster speed I was going.
Yeah.
Just you would stop immediately. So it was. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. How about you? What have you been up to?
Sounds like a fun weekend.
It was good. It was pretty action packed. It was good.
Yeah. For me, I had a pickleball tournament on Friday. So there was a bigger pickleball tournament in the area in Albany to raise money for arthritis, which affects a lot of people. So I know that. And Friday, what was great was it was a team tournament. So they had teams, local teams. You formed your own team based on skill level and whatnot, and you were in a division. And the idea was to play men's doubles, women's doubles, and then mixed doubles. And ultimately, what was great, you got to play a lot of games. There were 10 games. The bad news, it was Siena College, so local college here in the capital region. 16 courts, all taped on their gym floor, but no air conditioning in like the humid, heat, like in this gym. Indoor, no real doors that you can open or prop open. It just was none of that. So it was very spicy inside. It got warm fast.
Whoa.
And
okay.
What originally was supposed to be probably a 4 or 5 hour day. It ended up being close to 6. We were running a little bit behind, and then the tournament director, she did a really good job at sort of streamlining things. What was great, at the end of the day, we played our 10 every person played 10 games, so the team itself played 20 with how many people were on the team. We ended up finishing in a 4-way tie for second. So we could have out of the 6 teams, you either could finish second or we could have finished fifth. And they were very pragmatic with how the tiebreakers work, because no one wants a tie. Ties are awful. So it ended up being head-to-head matches first. Everybody beat each other. So then it went to the second tiebreaker, which were points against. And sure enough, the Emma Willard school, we gave up the least amount of points out of those 4 teings. So we ended up finishing second. Very competitive. Very competitive bracket. Yeah. So 4-0 pickleball level. We're, I would say high intermediate, advanced players. We know how to play. Really good competition. So the team that won was 13-7. There were 4 of us that were 11-9. And then the 6th team was a little bit further behind. So it was just really competitive games. Lots of back and forth.
Cool.
So I know, very fun.
Great, yeah.
Very fun. They had like a silent auction there, which is really cool. You could win some neat paddles or prizes. And on Saturday, made my way down there just to see some people play. Tournament was running very efficiently now. They were actually almost done by the time I got there. So I saw just some of the finals that were going on that day. But Todd, you'd be impressed. Maybe you won't be impressed. I signed up for a ping pong tournament on Saturday afternoon, spur of the moment. I knew it was going on. It was actually, it's at the big Crossgates Mall, and they had a tournament going on from 12 to 7. Advanced players were 4 to 7 o'clock. So I signed up for this advanced division.
You did?
Yep. So throw my name in the ring here.
How did that go?
Well, I did win some games. It was a round robin, so there were 3 different brackets, and they had a round robin for each bracket. So I was in like Group A, there was Group B, Group C. Absolutely, there were players there that I didn't really have any business playing against.
Yeah.
They normally wouldn't come. Yeah.
There's got to be some people that, I mean, where to feel lucky to get 1 point off them, right?
Yeah. So I guess fortunately for me, I won my first 2 games. So I was feeling first 2 matches. I was feeling really good.
Wow.
And then I, of course, played the 2 other players that were above and beyond my skill level. Yeah. And so it turns out I did get a donut in 1 game. I got a 0.
Wow.
Big goose egg. But I did play a little bit better in that game and then the next matchup. But
I mean, 2-2. Okay, let's say serve alternates, right? 5 serves each way. Yeah. So you get the serve, right?
Yeah.
It's just blown back past you, right by you, and you can't even, or like how do they break you down? What's it look like?
I think it is seeing like just how they are used to so much spin and just different types of serves.
Yeah.
Seeing my mechanics, they kind of knew where the ball was going right away. And for the most part, it wasn't maybe one and done. They would get the ball back, and by the time my third shot was just not a good shot, it'd go into the net, or it might go long, or it might stay on the
They're
table.
Moving you around. Yeah. Okay.
And it's fast. It is much faster. I think that's what was really interesting, was seeing how well those players play. And then I ended up staying for some of the knockout rounds, and it was a great 5-game match. So the best of 5 was in the knockout rounds, back and forth, but just unbelievable shots and rallies.
It's incredible to be that good to not drop a single point. To operate like a robot like that, right? That's incredible.
It was another level. And then one fun fact I learned about table tennis. So that sound that you hear when they'll stomp their feet on the ground when they serve. Really? Some players do. Some others maybe not. But I was like, what's going on? It's like purposeful distraction. And I talked to the guy running the whole tournament, and he said, yes, it's legal, but the whole idea of that is that they do it so it limits the opponent from understanding what type of spin they impart on the ball.
Wow.
So
Wait, because they can hear the
they
contact with
can
the
hear,
paddle
yes,
and
and know what
that.
kind of.
No way.
I said I'm not on that level. I mean, I'll stomp just because it makes noise, but yeah,
Oh
that is why
my
they do that.
God. Yeah, that's
And
so much more like I never played baseball yet. I know we dunked on it the other day, but like I never played it. So, but I do understand some aspects of it, like, with pitching, right? So much of it is, is concealment, is hiding the pitch that's
yeah,
coming, right?
yep,
That's so much of it. Like you can have a guy who can just throw absolute heat, but the next guy can hide it, right? And you just don't see the pitch that's coming.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and so like that deception is a huge part of it. I didn't. I thought it was just like, okay, these guys put crazy spin and stuff. I didn't know that it's like I you can't tell what spins on it, and the
yes.
sound you're picking that up. Like I didn't know that aspect of the game at all. That's crazy.
And it really was one guy. There were two or three that were doing it. One was probably more intentional than the others, and it just was like, what is going on? But I mean, it's like you watch
Wow.
on on YouTube, or you're seeing some of the highlights. Like that's how
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
playing. And
yeah.
the guy running the show said these are good players. There is a home club. They've got some great players
Oh
that
wow. They didn't even
so
send them. Oh
yeah,
man,
the great players didn't show up. The good
man,
players, some of them showed up. So I finished 2-2 in my bracket, where
it's
I
phenomenal.
wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to maybe do anything crazy. There was another gentleman who I actually know from pickleball, he's a better player than I am in table tennis.
Mm,
We played at the end, so he actually had a
mm,
really tough group and didn't make it. And he also was 2-2 in his bracket, and
mm.
the top guys were both 3-1, so he didn't go and move on. But we played a game, played a match at the end, and yeah, he schooled me. I think it was like 4-4,
Okay.
like, but he's a good
Just to get
player.
some
So
points. I mean,
yeah,
people go to Wimbledon and lose 6-0, 6-0.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that happens like with some regularity. Those people are
But
ranked in the top 100 or whatever in the world, and they're getting bageled. Like, so
yeah.
that is not bad.
So that was Saturday. Quick Sunday, I did do a bike ride and a run. I didn't bike as far as you did by any stretch of the imagination, but I got a few miles on the bike, and I went for a run afterwards. They call it a brick workout,
Mm.
and it was great. So I had
All
a good
right.
time, good weather, went for a car ride, and I'd say most importantly, I bought a whole watermelon because it was on sale. So huge seedless watermelon, and I made about 2 liters of gazpacho. So watermelon gazpacho. I'm a huge gazpacho fan.
You must, yeah, you must be the world leader in watermelon gazpacho
I,
relations.
I'm telling you,
Yeah, that's great.
it's a thing. It is awesome. So I
I've
had a
had it.
great
I love
time.
it. So yeah, people don't knock it till you try it. That's all I gotta say.
You have to try the gazpacho.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's listen. That sounds like a fun week that you had, fun weekend, and I had a
yeah,
fun time. Weather was good. We had some storms, like you mentioned. It was hot,
yeah,
but got to spend some time outside, and yeah, now back at it, middle of the week type of thing.
yeah.
And we said, why not bring some joy to people's lives whenever they tune into us? They're gonna hear about video games,
Let's get into
and
it. I'm
I
ready.
mean,
I'm
I'll
ready
tell
for
you what,
this.
you're already ready. Video games. I mean, I know I said a couple weeks back about like concerts being a cornerstone of America, and just probably like people's childhoods and just life in general. I think video games is also just right up with that in terms of everybody has played some sort of game that they've enjoyed, really liked, in whatever console that they had, computer, who knows, phone. And I think it's really fun this week to kind of share just some of our favorite video games. And I think Todd, like
And
you're chomping at the bit. Go for it.
yeah, I mean,
Or
as I was thinking about it, I'm like, it just they evoke so many memories too, right? Like that game you're
yep,
playing or that
yep,
console you had at that time. or computer or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it just really becomes woven into your life. I mean, okay, some people hate them, but for anybody who like enjoys it, or in my case, I've definitely had some like obsessions over it at times. I can
Yeah.
fall down that black hole into like a video game black hole. Yeah, they certainly have had huge impacts in my life. So I think the first one that I would bring up, and I know you have a list of like top games or something too, right? But the first thing, just topic that I would bring up, or platform, I got to go back to Nintendo 64 for a minute.
Okay. Yep.
That
I
just
like it.
holds such a spot for me, right? I mean, I was actually a little bit slow into the whole Nintendo world. Like way back in the day, I started on, I mean, dinosaur days. Started on like ColecoVision and the
Yeah.
Atari.
Yep.
And like the kids had Nintendo. I was a little later, but like in college and just before that, we had Nintendo 64 there, and that Mario Kart with Nintendo 64. I mean, I haven't seen the latest ones, but any other ones that I've seen just don't hold a candle to that. Like
Yeah.
there was just something
Nice.
about that platform that was just so incredible. Like the physics, there's something about the physics was just super real. Like another like underappreciated one that I think people wouldn't like as much, but Mario Tennis. I don't
Yeah.
think a whole lot. I don't know how many people played it, but it was very realistic. I'm a lifelong sports guy, right? And I played tennis and a lot of stuff. When sports games, I very much appreciate when they have a real feel to them. That one just it felt real. I mean, okay, there's turbo shots and stuff, but they weren't like totally like crazy in the way they did it. But yeah, but number one, Mario Kart on that platform back in college. Nothing better than that. I mean, we had many late nights just trying to break records on doing a quick solo run on a course.
Yep.
No, it wasn't obviously not Rainbow Road is crazy long.
That's a tough one.
I forget. There's a fairly short one. You're on like it was sort of like a F1 type track. I can't remember the name of it, but that was like a well-known like time trial type one. And our buddy Gerald he ended up he just smashed. He was good. He was a great video gamer. Nobody could get within like. He might have been a full second faster or half a second, something like that. But yeah, just the late nights we had playing that, having some drinks, friends coming over, anything, even in the middle of parties. And so we could have a party in our dorm and there'd still be like Mario Kart games going on.
Yes.
That was definitely a classic. That platform that'd be my all-time favorite, like just in terms of social. I mean, there's the what do you call it? There's GoldenEye. There's Super Mario 64. Like, I mean, these are just all-time classics. So that'd be my vote of like top nostalgic console.
No, I think in that game. So Mario Kart.
Mario
Super
Kart
Mario,
number
like,
one, and that console, that's got to be my top. Just to coincide with me being in college, all that stuff. So, how about for you? Like, can you offer some of a console game that combo?
So console, I will say I was also late to the game. The first console I had was probably not one that people really cared about. I think it was called Socrates. It was like a learning game.
I am not counting that.
That's not real. There were a few things
that one for the record.
I'm not gonna lie. There was one part of it because they did a few things like spelling. They did whatever, and I must have been 5, 6, or something like that. But there was a math one that I really enjoyed with there. I could even remember the song, the little jingle right now in my head when you get the math problem right.
Wow.
Fine. We're going to fast forward. So I was at the end of high school. So this was in the late 90s, actually early like 2001 was when I got the original PlayStation, which was already like years after people already had PlayStation.
Yeah.
So that was my first real console. And in like ranking like games, like just on the first console, I really enjoyed playing. It was 2 games: NHL '99 Loved it.
Okay. Yep.
And funny enough, like this jersey is the Phoenix Coyotes jersey,
Ah.
and it's a Keith Kachuk jersey. His son just won the Stanley Cup with the Panthers,
Oh,
but
is that who that is? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I watched that game. Yeah. Okay.
I will like this is my favorite team. So the Phoenix Coyotes. This is my favorite jersey. I absolutely love it. It's great. That was a great game. I loved it. I played it with myself. My sister played a little bit, but it was
Yeah.
really just me. One game that we played together that I
So,
enjoyed. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna say, is that like Lemieux, Gretzky, and stuff? Is that like the
Yeah,
big
like
names in there?
they
Yeah.
were still in there. Yeah, Yager,
Yeah.
Messier was there.
Yeah.
Like just Jeremy Roenick. People like you just I don't know.
Yeah.
It's John Van Beesbrook was a goalie back then, I think for the Panthers back at the time.
Yeah.
So I played that really on my own. And then Tomb Raider was something that my sister and I played together a lot.
Oh. Okay.
And
I've never
that
actually
was
played that.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was really fun. And that might have been PS2, but it might have been PS1. Like the graph just it was a fun game. And we always would play something where it wasn't necessarily the whole campaign or mission. It was more so just really exploring and just walking around or
Yeah.
shooting either some animals or bad guys and then getting on this boat and try and navigate this river that was going. It was fun.
And
It
it
was a
like
good
was
thing.
it a huge world? Like what was the actual world in that?
They had a couple different levels. I know she
Oh.
actually finished the game.
Ah.
I did not finish the game.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I could not tell you. I could not tell you that.
Okay.
You know what? I'll have to say on like the console, like the next console was the Xbox. I never had, but my friends had it at college. And you had a great college story, on the Mario Kart. My college story was really two games. One, I played more myself, and then another one was with friends. Halo 2 was
Oh,
probably
yes. Oh,
the
yeah.
most influential game, certainly in my like experience and social aspect, like you had
Yeah.
mentioned. We waited in line to be the first group of people in State College to get Halo 2.
Oh,
We
wow.
waited about 12 hours before they released it and camped out, and it was just nuts. And we were the first ones to get Halo 2 in State College. And the maps on that and being able to play multiplayer just with your roommates, your
Yeah.
friends, that was by far just like the most fun in a social setting. We played that game for hours.
That probably had to be the one that was the first shooter and stuff that actually had great vehicles too, I think, right? Or it was early in that.
They had some really good vehicles. They had a Wraith. They had they had ATVs and different buggies they could get depending on which map you were on.
Yeah.
I was always the slowest to get to these fun vehicles. So I'd be floating around on the ground trying to grab a sword or grenades. There was one map where I just threw grenades at people the whole time. I had some guns, some plasma guns, but I just threw the grenades and try and get them that way. But Prisoner, Rocks, and Lockout were the type of gun or type of instrument you had. Prisoner and Lockout were by far the best levels ever on Halo. It was just fun. It just really resonates and just having
I will
good
say
time.
two that I think are from that time period. But yeah, it was me. It was post college, but very early post college and like first job, and having the boys over on Friday night or something, right? Similar. Halo was one of the games. Halo was one, and I must have had an Xbox, right? Yeah, it had to be Xbox. But also like Ghost Recon.
I know of the game. I can't say I've played it.
And there's another one. So it was like between these like three games, but playing these I had my first like big TV and with the split screen, right? We're all looking at one TV.
Yep, that's
with
right.
The like 4-way split screen. You're all looking at your own section of the screen.
Now, did you cheat? Because that was done also, and I'll admit I did my fair share of that.
Yeah, I think there's always some cheating, and that's one thing though. It's one thing that's great about like Mario Kart is that you couldn't really cheat per se, right? So you just have to get up there and do better and catch up to the people and stuff. Like you can't cheat of like, oh, where is he on the map?
Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
Yep.
but yeah. Those army games, like, and those are the ones that I've found over time can suck me in like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Like, the one that I've gone into the deepest hole, I would say, is Battlefield 3.
I know Battlefield. I've played it a few times,
It
but
was
yeah.
just a perfect modern military. Well, it's funny because they seem to go like future or a lot of past. Like they'll have a World War II
Yeah.
edition or whatever, right? And I think the one that came after, I think it was Future. I never actually got into it because I'd finally weaned myself off of it. But there was a 2-year period where I played that a lot. I mean, there were times, you know, I got into the like go to work, come home, eat something quick, right?
Yeah.
And
'Cause
like
you got to get back to playing.
log on, yeah. And you know, we're talking, okay, it's 6:30, and then like, and then eventually, you know, the boy rounding up the boys, and we're in there. We had a little squad. There was about 4 of us, and we get in there and we just start hammering away. And yeah, just you know, it's one of the army. The vehicles on that are outrageous. I you know, I feel like the
They
physics
were
engine,
realistic, quite
oh,
realistic
super realistic.
for
You know,
that
you look
time.
at water and stuff, and it's like amazing. You get in a jet, it really feels like you're flying around. My favorite was the helicopters. I
Okay.
became a good chopper pilot over time, so I'd always be running for
Nice.
the helicopters. That was just the most fun, you know, because yeah, you're firing rockets out of that too, you know, also as the pilot, and then you can have like a gunner along with you, and it was real fun being the gunner on the chopper. You can light off flares as heat seekers are coming in on you.
Yeah.
So you drop
Yep.
some flares to distract, like all that stuff. And you occasionally run up against a crew that like is coordinated. Like it felt like they're in tournaments or something. I remember the one time like we couldn't do anything. I mean, it was just
Sure.
the moment that they made contact with you, you try to do something like they're, you know, you're having a little tank battle and their jets are flying over and just ping, 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 ping. You know, all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, a jet is smashing your tank, and then
Yeah.
a second
Yep.
later, some guy comes out and fires a rocket at you, and it's all over. And yeah, like. But yeah, awesome game. I mean that one, yeah, I was in deep on that. That's the one that like it's that type where I'm like, oh, I had to like change some things in my life because I'm too susceptible. I'm not a super addictive person, but there's something about that can get me.
Yeah. And so like to build on that, because once you get going, you know, in certain games, especially that have stories or something that you can build off of, like I love what you said. Grab something quick to eat, do dinner, and hey, you know, by parents, or especially like when you're on your own, you're like, listen,
yeah.
I'm just, you know,
yeah,
I'm gonna play
we'll go
for
to
hours.
midnight, 1 a.m. Yeah, like crazy sessions.
So like for me, some of those games like Halo 2 again was by far, you know, that social piece. And then we ended up, so instead of doing the split screen like what you said, we played like that for forever, and we actually still know the nicknames of like everybody. What was your screen name? What was your you know, call name? But then we also did some multiplayer with people, like just, you know, random strangers, right? You sign up with the connections, and again, that's where it got intense, because we really tried to do it, you know, where all 4 or 5 of us were just on one team, and then you played against some random people.
Yeah.
And boy, did we get smoked sometimes.
Yeah.
On some of these levels, just really ridiculous. Yep. I was always pretty low when it came to just overall score. I was never the team lead. There was a rare occasion every once in a while.
I was good enough to like occasionally be the top scorer, but that is not average for me. I'm more middle of the pack usually. That's more my speed. I've never been that guy who can just run in and like, you know, you have these certain guys that can just run in and like, you know, just direct combat, right? And gets like 5 kills and jumps off the, you know, jumps off the garbage can, like, you know, flying across the screen and like, you know, midair turning and like killing 3 guys. Like I've never been quite like that. But I got pretty good. I got pretty good, especially with the vehicles.
Yeah. And it was just fun. It was certainly, games, just experiences, I'll always remember, and being able to do that with your friends and buddies, and play for countless hours
Yeah.
was awesome. It was really, really fun. We had some
The
great
the
fun, and it
social
just
the social aspect to it like definitely took it to a new level. I think that's where like the real competition and the blood boiling and stuff comes from, is just where, if people are beating you, you're on a losing streak, will keep me in there for an extra like 2 hours or something.
That's right. That's right.
I can't go out on a
I know.
loss.
It's fun. I mean, we always put like certainly either win, like you said, you either win one and then you finally leave, or like a time limit. We said we're gonna play to this time, like 1:30 in the morning, and
Yeah.
just call it a day.
Yeah.
But so like another game or two that I really enjoyed
Yeah.
in college that just honestly captivated my time and energy was Tiger Woods golf.
Oh wow. Okay.
I played a ridiculous amount of hours in Tiger Woods golf. I'd
wow.
like to say I was one of the better players in the East Coast of Tiger Woods. I really wish that was a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I
bet
played
there is
so much.
I'm sure there's an online community that does it.
And
Yeah.
I played lots of Tiger Woods golf.
What
And
kind
one
of
memory
scores could you shoot?
I mean, it was, I was birdie every hole, maybe it was like and this was using I wasn't cheating. I was using whatever was given to me, Tiger Woods, and then you could use power ups and use certain irons, and just based on the wind, I was really comfortable, like playing, at various courses they had. I don't think they had St. Andrews. I think there were certain courses that like were above and beyond. EA Sports didn't have the rights to use that course, so they had to use like TPC Sawgrass and a few others. But it was great. It was so much fun. And my friend ended up trading that game in and didn't tell me, because it was actually his game. It wasn't mine. I was over at their place almost every day, and he traded the game in for like 2 or 3 other games, and I was livid. I was so mad because all of a sudden I said, "Where's Tiger Woods golf?" Well, I traded in. I don't have it anymore. What are you talking about?
Wow.
Like that, I play that all the time. That's why I'm here.
Okay, that's funny.
I didn't have my own console. That was fun. And then just like 2 racing games I thought were really good. Well, I actually just have one written down. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Wow.
I'm gonna go back to, I think it was PlayStation 1 or maybe PS2. I love that game. And it was the one where you, like Hot Pursuit, you had cops chasing you when you did certain types of missions, etc. But what I really enjoyed was just driving. I was a big fan of just driving, like staying in the lines and driving the speed limit. And every once in a while I'll go nuts. But I just loved exploring the maps. So like, to me, that was super fun.
So you weren't hot pursuing anything. You were just the leisurely Sunday stroll.
Sunday
just
stroll, like,
yeah.
And I'd park the car at this random house on the map, and I'm home. All right, and then like pretend whatever I'm doing something, and then a minute later, all right, time to go. Time to go get groceries. I mean I had fun. Like there were certainly some.
It sounds like you needed to play The Sims too. You might have loved that.
See, and that's I didn't get into that. I did not, but I know people who did.
Yeah,
and said that was fun. Like, you just build a whole house.
So on a computer side, so that's a whole different world, right? And
Yep.
I'm an old head, right? So I go way back. So, early on, I had the Commodore 64.
Okay,
that's how far back I go.
That you are ancient. I think really it's a great console. I think people. Okay, so that was a computer, or
yes,
no.
It is. Computer with like almost no built-in memory. Very, very, very little.
Okay.
And you'd have like either little cartridges or like the floppy disks, the old, 5 1/4 floppy disks, right? And you type in a little command, load star, comma 8, load star, comma 8, comma 1, would load just about anything.
Epic.
And then you wait for some stuff to scroll by, and then it starts, launching the game. And you would go buy those games. You could copy them, whatever. You copy unless they were protected. But then some of the early games that were really great. There was an Olympics game that I loved. So
Okay.
yeah, we just had, and we get these various control, maybe almost Atari-ish type controller. You can imagine something like that going with the computer. But you'd have whatever, you'd have discus and 100-meter dash and
Yep.
high jump and stuff, and the little pixelated guys running across the screen. But I got well into that. That was good. There was a game called Bruce Lee that was awesome. That was kind of like a side scroller, right? Where you have Bruce Lee, and then there's this green henchman guy that. So you actually could play 2-player.
Interesting. Okay.
The second player could be that the fat green guy. And then you just,
I know nothing about it.
Yeah, I mean, awesome game. And you just go through side scrolling and kicking guys in the head and stuff. And yeah, and then you can you'd fight a boss at the end of each level or whatever. So it was one of those classical games like that. That was awesome. But then I would say the next big one that I moved on to that became huge was the earliest days, just the internet precursor.
Okay.
Was called the bulletin board system. So they're like BBSs. I don't know. This will alienate a lot of people. I think most people either wouldn't have heard of it, because you got to be older and then also be like a nerd from that time, because it really is. Yeah, like it's not like everybody was doing this, right? But those, and they had a game, this one game called Tele Arena, which I went all in on for 2 years. This is going to sound ridiculous. It's a text-based game.
Okay.
So if you ever did
kind of like MS-DOS, right? Where you're doing text.
Yeah. And if you've ever done one of those adventure games where you like walk to the next room, walk west, open chest, whatever, right? Zork is the famous one. It's like that, but it was an online game with other people out there. And just the way it was created was just incredibly addictive. Like, I learned computer programming because of that. I got to a level where you could script out commands for like your guy to run autonomously overnight if you had a strong character once you built it up, and it could go out and collect gold, and then you could actually sell that gold for like kind of real world money.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had a druid, I had an arch druid that was like super, very strong. Whatever, probably top 10 strongest guy like on that server. And I could go out and max out gold, like 60,000 gold overnight with the script that I would run. People would try to attack you too, because they're like, "Oh, I know he's scripting, right?" So they'll try to come in. Like, I see this dude scripted, so I'd actually even have to program that in. If somebody starts attacking me, like, I'd have to like jump out, because you don't want to die. Dying was very bad. You'd lose experience points.
Yeah,
like you'd lose like 10% of your experience points, and that can be like a week of progress. So yeah, you would.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was.
But that's really awesome to share that. Like, that's
early
I'm sure
days.
Someone listening. I really hope someone listening
I want to
has
see
a similar
one
experience.
person. Yeah, this is not meant to like the masses. If one person can come in and be like, "Oh yeah, I play Telerina," I'll be super impressed. But
please.
But that's one of the ones that really got me. I mean, I was all in. When you see people like whatever fall into the Dungeons and Dragons world or something, I was like that, like thinking about it round the clock. Yeah,
that's amazing. Any other computer games?
Nah, nothing else. Really, that was the ones worth talking about.
Okay.
How about yourself?
I have 3 computer games.
Okay.
One of them maybe is like, I'll call it a trilogy, but I'll save that for the end. Early on, be honest, Oregon Trail.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Super fun. Now, granted, I didn't really get the chance to play it at home. That was actually in school. We had a computer room.
Me too. Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, I would lie if I said I didn't like this game called Number Munchers, which is basically just like doing multiple. It's like Pac-Man with numbers. I loved it. Oh my gosh, man, that was incredible. But Oregon Trail was just so fun because it was so different than anything I've ever seen or experienced. And some of the kids next to me were much more schooled at shooting the ox or shooting the deer. I was in the forest just spinning in circles because I couldn't shoot them in time, and it was really frustrating. A great game.
I
I
have
made
Oregon
it.
Trail, the card game now.
See,
I
let's
got it
we
like
got
a
to
year
play
ago.
that.
Yeah,
We
I
got to
will
play
bring it
that.
out. I'll bring it up. I'll
Yeah,
bring it up when we come up to Saratoga. Yep.
we got to do that. I will say I made it to the end once
Wow.
out of all the times. There were the people who've done it like on a
You
more
got
regular
through
basis.
those
I
bouts of
only
dysentery.
just dysentery. Then the wheel broke off the wagon. This just I mean incredible. You had to ford the river. I couldn't do that successfully. It
It's
was
so
hot. Just
playing the card game. It is so set up for you to fail. There are like, yeah, it's so much easier to fail than it is to succeed. It's hilarious.
Oh, I can't wait to play
Like
it. It,
game
it
of
was
life,
fun.
life has to be the exact
Yeah.
opposite, where it's like, everyone's thriving, right, to some extent.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yep.
the Oregon Trail wanted you to
Fail.
die. Yeah.
It was bad. I was not successful in the killing in the forest of the animals to get the food that you needed to make it across. That was where I struggled a lot. So made it to Kansas, and then it was like, oh, you're screwed. So that happened to me quite a bit, and only made it to Fort Walla Walla once. That
Wow.
that was my claim to fame there. And then as I've gotten older, I said, all right, let's play some other types of games. Now at home, I had a computer. I had a Tandy 1000 RL back in the day. That was the first computer. Now that didn't have any games, but I did get a Windows-based game. And my trilogy is NASCAR. I cannot tell you
Oh.
how much time, how many hours I've spent playing that racing game. And I grew up close to Pocono Raceway. So there NASCAR was something that we watched. We went to a number of the races. The first NASCAR like game, I'll always remember Paul Page was the like intro person, and he really didn't do many NASCAR races. He did a lot of IndyCar, but he was the voice of NASCAR when Papyrus came out with their NASCAR 1. The graphics were awful, absolutely awful. You take a look at it, it's just unbelievable, but I loved it, and I played for hours and hours, and ended up just using left, right, up, down. Those were your arrows. I didn't have a steering wheel at the time. I just used the keys on the keyboard, and I turned the car left. It was incredible. And ultimately, one of the NASCAR, I think it was 3, actually had Pocono Raceway. And so that's where I got into racing Pocono Raceway on the NASCAR game. And just, yeah, I loved every minute of it. That was an incredible game. I got lost in it. And then the only multiplayer game that really took off for me on a computer setting was Counter-Strike.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never played that. I kind of know about it, but I've never played it. Yeah.
It was similar. You mentioned some like shooter game, first person shooter games. That was kind of what it was. You had, I think there was one map that I remember a lot was in an airplane, in like an airport, and you're kind of making your way around. But I never played it outside of multiplayer. It was always with friends or a handful of people online.
Yeah.
And that was how I played. I never did. I don't even know if they had a mission, but that was how I played that game. Was always with people, and you know what?
That triggered. That's
never good.
Okay, that triggered. So my first experience actually playing in that multiplayer setting was computer, in the dorm rooms. So we were networked together there, right? That was fairly early days of like doing the networking like that, right?
Yeah.
Where we're joining like a common hub or whatever the one dude would set it up. Doom. That was Doom at that time.
Yep.
So
and
we had some LAN parties playing Doom. Yeah, that was the first time I experienced that sort of that style.
And you did a great job explaining something earlier. So for those that don't know, LAN parties, LAN is an acronym for local area network.
Yeah.
And that was the geek out term where you were, like Todd mentioned, you're in your own network of computers.
Yeah.
And you were able to connect to each other. You played games. And I know, I think Todd, you did this as well. I took my computer in high school and went over to someone's house. We had a LAN party and we played video games by all being connected to this network for several hours.
Oh yeah. And I actually didn't quite have that. Like, I didn't quite do it where I was like, we're bringing the computer. We just were all in the dorm room together. It was my dorm mates, like, and so we would set it up right there. That's how we did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, for those who are listening, and hopefully there's some people that are older, some people that are younger, I just think about it, Todd, that was like 20, 25 years ago.
It's crazy.
LAN parties.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, think of how
then the internet
changed.
took over, right? Yeah, the internet got fast enough that it just didn't matter. Okay. 2 other platforms I'll bring up just because just you kind of have to. It's like one of the granddaddies and like just some of the classic games. But original Nintendo too, right? Original Nintendo was phenomenal. Tecmo Bowl on that. That's probably my all-time favorite. I mean, obviously there's the obvious, like, Mario Brothers, whatever, they're great. Some of those games, Donkey Kong, whatever.
But Tecmo Bowl.
But yeah, Tecmo Bowl, that was my biggest jam. What a game. I mean, Bo Jackson on that, the most overpowered single player of any game of all time, I think. They like OP single character. I think Bo Jackson goes down in history as like one of those.
He could just do anything.
Oh, people like the only guy you run down the middle and like people bounce off him. They go flying off. Like you go to tackle Bo Jackson and like your character gets shot to like the top of the screen. Everyone else, they just get tackled. Bo Jackson, you bounce off him, and
wow,
most OP character that's ever been created.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
No, and so I mean, the football game I know I played with was Madden 99 and Madden 02. Those are my
Madden's great. Madden's
football games.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I never got a chance to play like Nintendo. I might have played it once at a friend's house like years and years later.
There's some greats in there. There's some greats. I mean, there's so much was built off, and it's like Nintendo just did so much. Like, you got to give them credit. The other one of their platforms to bring up was actually just Nintendo Wii too, right? Like, bringing in the whole, that kind of physical aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, when that came out, that was, you remember, that was a frenzy, right? Everybody, that was, for a couple of years, like it was the big Christmas gift.
And we still, so funny enough, my best friend, Dan, he has the Wii. I think he had it.
Yeah.
He gave it to me.
Oh.
He's like, I'm not using it.
Yeah.
And I played it, used it a few times, especially like Wii Sports. You go bowling. They
awesome.
got tennis on there. It's very interactive. Very, I'll call it forefront technology when it comes to like how that was designed, like the thought behind it, all that I think was great. And then he ended up having kids and ultimately gave the Wii back to him, and he's still using it. They still use the Wii, which is great.
Use it. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, Wii Sports, awesome. Yeah, bowling, tennis, I love those. God, there was a golf.
Like, they actually have Mario Kart on
good.
Wii.
Yeah,
and so they play that quite a bit.
That Mario Kart, I wasn't as impressed with. There was something off, like the physics were off or something. Yeah, like for me, it clearly preferred the 64 version.
Yeah,
yeah, like it was clear for me. Yeah, some great games on that though. Definitely some really good stuff. And I guess for me, just I guess it would wrap up probably my experience of like the more modern era. I would say what do you call it? The Quest. We call it Meta Quest now, right? The VR.
Oh, VR. Okay. Yep.
VR, little bit of augmented reality, right? But like the golf game on that, for example, phenomenal. That game's that's awesome.
I've not tried that.
It's so really, like it takes you into it. It feels pretty real. I mean, you can tell, oh, that swing was a little slice-ish. Sure enough, your shots slice in. It's I think you could actually like improve your game a little bit if you played that a lot. Like that's how realistic I would say that is.
And you are doing a normal like golf motion,
Yeah, I
right?
have an
With the goggles.
attachment. I have a
Okay.
golf attachment. So
Okay.
it's a thing, whatever. It's a controller like, and it has a little weight to it. And so it's added on to the, you have the two hand grips, right? Like, there's two side grips, but this one like connects into it's an attachment. You end up just playing with one, but it's sort of like the top end of a golf club, but like heavy, and gives you like sort of that feel of a real swing. And it's pretty good. I mean, the putting probably is probably the worst part, but like chipping and hitting some drives and stuff, it's pretty
Yeah.
realistic.
I look forward to getting a
Yeah,
chance
you
to
should
play with
try
that. I
that.
have not
Yeah,
had
maybe I'll
any
bring it up or something. And yeah, you got to try it. It's pretty good.
VR stuff. I mean, listen, I've seen videos where people
It's
run
impressive.
into walls and break
Oh yeah,
stuff
yeah.
just
You have to
because
be
of
careful
how
too.
real
Yeah, you got to be careful. And
it-
yeah, you got to be, make sure duck is tied up or something when it's going on. But yeah, no, they're awesome.
Yeah, he's actually sleeping. So Duck, I have a yellow lab that's 3.5. His name is Duck. He is actually sleeping right now on the floor.
Awesome dog.
It's
Love that
cool. It's very cool. And
guy.
we didn't even get to really chance to talk about the list, or there's several lists, right? This is the best video game. This is the best video game. I'm gonna quickly read.
Run through it real
top
quick.
10,
Yeah, let's hear that.
just because I think
that'll be fun.
It's ridiculous.
Let's see if we
terms
covered any of them too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going
Without
10 to number 1.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, 10 to number 1 from a list that was put together in April of this year.
Okay.
So not long ago at all.
Okay.
And they had.
And I will say, hopefully, it's not like a Gen Z person who wrote the article. Where I think that'll be apparent as we hear the list.
Yeah. So all right, first one. So number 10, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, Nintendo game in 2017.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not even on it. Not on my radar. Yeah.
Nintendo something. Yeah. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's
what platform.
So
yeah. Okay.
No idea.
Yep.
Then the next one, number 9, is Dragon Quest XI: Echoes of an Elusive Age. That was released in 2017 for PS4, Xbox, Switch.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it. I haven't heard of like people playing it or anything. Okay. Interesting.
Don't know that one. Number 8, Baldur's Gate. Released last year on PC, on Mac, PS5, and Xbox.
Another one I'm aware of. I'm aware of that existing. Never touched it. Don't know anybody who plays it. But,
It's a role.
Yeah,
role playing game, and at least the first 3 that I just read are all RPGs. So role playing games.
Yep. All right.
Number 7 is Fallout New Vegas.
Okay, Fallout
2010.
Okay, Fallout. I'm more on board with that. Yeah, I
also RPG.
I think that's a way better entrance for top 10 than the others so far. Okay.
Number 6, Stardew Valley. It is a simulation RPG game. It has an image of like this farm. It looks like, and you could play it on the PS, PS4, Xbox One, Android. 2016. Stardew Valley. So Stardew is one word. I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, I'm definitely aging myself. Like Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
1997.
Yeah, we're talking with that one. That's a well-known classic.
That resonates.
That resonates.
PlayStation. Yeah. PC, Nintendo Switch now, but it was first released in 97.
That hits. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of RPG games. I think that's what's taking me by surprise. Red Dead Redemption 2. Released in 2018.
I think that's... Is that computer only?
It's the PC, but it's also Xbox and PS4. It's an action-adventure game.
Yeah. I do know about that one. I hear people talking about it. Yeah, that's different than the others. It's like, yeah, I hear people talking about that. I know people love that. I know people, when it comes out, they go and buy the new one. So... Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I would say, though, the one thing I'm reading, got this in bold. The game's reputation as a classic is perhaps only surpassed by its perception as one of the most detailed games ever created.
Oh.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have to check it out. Like,
I know
see
it's
video gameplay.
yeah, I know it's one where you go around and you talk to people, and like I think they even say funny stuff, and you can, you have these
Never heard of
conversation
it.
people, and you get this guy that says crazy like Western stuff. I think it's like
Yeah.
that.
So see Wes, you
Yeah,
know more than me.
yeah.
This one,
I know some things about it. Yeah. Okay.
that's crazy. This one, the next one, Minecraft, number 3.
Ah,
So 2011.
I've never understood it. I've watched it. I've seen it. I know many people play that. My nephew,
Yes.
niece, brother-in-law,
Yep.
Kyle's kid. Like I know many people who play that. It
Yeah.
doesn't do anything at all for me. It's just not my flavor.
Yeah.
Whatever that flavor
It,
is, I'm the other flavor.
it doesn't, tickle any fancy for me. They say it might be the most influential, but it's
Could be.
also hard to overstate how important Minecraft is to video games. That's crazy.
Period. Yeah. No, I mean, I understand its impact. Yeah, I'm not gonna hate on it. Like, oh, no. It's just not my flavor. But yeah, I understand. Like, the world that's erupted around it, and people building expansion packs. All the programming that happens, and kids getting into software development and stuff because of it. Like, I'm not gonna hate on it. It's just not my thing.
Number 2, Legend of Zelda,
Zelda again.
Ocarina of Time.
Oh, is that even older? I think that's even older.
1998.
Oh, same time period. Okay.
Legends of Zelda.
I think those
were
N64. Yeah, those were. I was gonna say those were on the 64. Yeah.
And also the GameCube.
Oh, I forgot about that one. That was that middle one, Nintendo, that I forgot about. Okay, yep.
The GameCube.
Yeah.
And then number 1 they have here, Elden Ring.
No.
2022.
Burn this list. Burn that list. No way.
RPG. So for those who may know, it was released 2 years ago. PS5, Xbox, PC.
Here's how I know to burn this list alone. Not even just because that's awful. I mean, if you had Minecraft number 1, I'd be much better. But even so, the fact that let's say Call of Duty is not even on the list, and I'm not even a big fan of Call of Duty, but that has to be on a list like this.
To be
there's no
Halo,
way it could not be on the list. Like that's a bad list.
Well, it's a good thing I found it then. It's a good thing. You know what? It's a good thing we talked about some other video games that probably have much more social impact.
Tecmo Bowl should wipe all those to the side. Tecmo Bowl, Tele Arena. Yeah.
Not this list didn't like it. Super Mario was 13, but
Super Mario.
Tecmo
Yeah,
Bowl,
there you go. Super Mario. Like if that's number 1, I'm totally fine with that. Like that's to me probably is the most influential game ever. I would personally put that number 1.
Halo 3 was number 33.
No, burn this list.
I mean, again, there's all sorts of stuff.
Burn it.
All right,
burn it.
So you know what, Todd? We have redemption though.
Okay.
So while we go through this list and we don't agree with it, we don't like it. I don't necessarily like it. I don't know. I don't think I know 7 of the top 10 games that I just mentioned to you. I honestly have no idea. What we do and what we do know well that'll bring some smiles are positive vibes.
Yep.
And positive vibes lead to high fives. And you know what? I think it's that time.
It is.
I think because the list has not met our expectations, we are going to move to the high five segment of the show and give people what they really want. And
that list was like a low 3 or something. We only do high fives.
That well said. Well said. Todd, do you have a high five of the week?
I have a high five of the week. I hope there's no chance that it interferes yours, but it's possible. We both watched that Stanley Cup Game 7 last night, right?
Yep.
Who I would like to give a high five to is the hockey announcers. I think it's Sean McDonough.
On board
Sean
with that.
McDonough, right? I think he's that super excitable guy with the high energy voice, right?
He cracked his voice a few times.
Yeah. He's the one that's just I don't want to do. I'll probably hurt my voice, but that high pitch goes nuts when people score or whatever, right? Awesome, but it's such a difficult game to follow, and the fact that they are always spot on of like, oh, and it's a wrist shot from
Yeah.
from McDavid and blocked by Yannick or
Yeah.
whatever, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
didn't see any of that. I mean, okay, I saw that this guy tried to take a shot, but like the fact that he saw this other dude blocked it and like it's rattling around in front and some other guy
Yes.
fires like a an alternate shot and like he just nails like all the action that's going on and says it fast enough that like as it's happening in real time and it's happening so fast and it's hard to see, like they are unbelievable. They might be the best announcers. So just that that whole crop, especially Sean McDonough, but like the whole crop of NHL announcers,
Yeah.
incredible.
I think no, that's a great high five. I enjoyed watching the game last night. I think it was better because of them, the announcers, and yeah, I mean, there's not much to add to that. They made it exciting. They make it fun to watch.
They're good. They have their like John Madden type right now, right? Like that he's
Yep.
got to be the best. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. I love it. And that is not my high five
Okay.
this week. I think it's great. My high five. I'd like it to be. I almost want to do two, but I don't think I can do two.
It's up to you. If I
I
hate your
believe
first one, that we could base it on that. Or if
okay.
hey, depending on how I rate your first, sorry, I shouldn't tell you how I rate your first one.
Okay, because the first one's definitely more like local, not public eye.
Okay.
Which is,
Yep.
which is fine. So it actually does go back to Pickleball 518 and Kathleen and team running this tournament, because not only fundraiser, it was something where you had to get they probably had like 20, almost 24 prizes that people could win, with tickets, and you buy tickets, and again, all the money goes to the Arthritis Foundation. But to have 250 plus people organized in this gym and have it in a way where there is some semblance of, okay, I know what time I'm playing, or I know these are the hours that I'm playing in. It generally went on time. I mentioned earlier about my experience. It was really hot. We ended up having first two rounds that were going way longer than expected. They then finally said, any open court, we're just going to put games on it so we can get through it, which was awesome. And that's all you saw was Kathleen just walking around left, right, across the gym into their little scorer's room, if you will. And one of the coolest things that really took it to another level was, a lot of times when you're watching sport, like, you see the score live, right? We watched a hockey game last night. You saw the scoreboard, showed shots on goal, all this fun stuff. Normally in like local tournaments, like, it's hard to like see stuff. Maybe in a local race you get a timing sheet so that they start posting up the times of how fast you ran. This pickleball tournament had an Excel file that was updated almost every half hour, and it was instant in terms of, here's how your team's doing compared to everybody else, and here's how many points you scored, here's how many points against, here's how many games you won. You could see real time how you were doing in the bracket, and that's really hard to do with a pickleball tournament.
Wow.
And to keep track of it online.
Yeah.
And there were a number of people that were keeping track of scores, particularly on like these set of courts, handing the score sheets. A really, really nice job on this event. And so hats off to her, because honestly, like, she didn't play in the tournament, and to try and play and lead at this type of level in terms of the tournament execution would not have been possible. And I give her credit for sort of being behind the scenes and saying, like, I'm running this show. I want everything to go well with it. And like, didn't falter. I think she did an incredible job, her and the team. So Pickleball 518. It's a skill to run tournaments successfully and well.
Oh yeah.
I think takes some skill.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, great. That's cool. Love it.
So yeah, hats off to Kathleen. Hats off to the announcers of Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. It's unfortunate that Canada didn't take it back. I'll be honest, I was rooting for Edmonton.
Oh yeah,
last night.
I think I would say the same thing actually. Yeah, that's a crazy stat of Canada not winning the Stanley Cup in, what is it, 40 years, 30 years? Like,
Yeah.
that's a crazy stat.
Yeah, since the early 90s.
That's a
and
really crazy stat.
just, I guess, knowing the fact, what's fun, Joe actually asked a great question. Like, why are there Canadian? How is a Canadian team playing a U.S. team? And it just, so then I explained how a couple of the big sports do cross in between. It's funny enough, the NFL doesn't. So you have the National Football
Yeah.
League, who doesn't have a Canadian team, but you call the National Hockey League and the National Basketball Association, and they do have Canadian teams.
Yeah, and they do play football up there too. That's what's a little funny, right? They have
It's just
it is
interesting.
Funny. That is funny. Yeah, and we're expanding into they're trying to expand into like England and Barcelona or something, right? Before yeah, that is a little funny, come to think of it.
But I mean, again, a great game last night. It's a great high five, Todd. And I think the people, I could hear clapping. They are much happier now after our high fives versus that list that I read of the top 10 video games.
I'm glad they enjoyed it. Yeah. I needed a palate cleanser from that too, from this Elden Scrolls or something. Like, yeah.
I never even heard of that game. I have not heard of that game. Todd, this has been real, like really fun. I've enjoyed every minute, every second that we spend together. This foo-foo. No, it's great. I love it. Absolutely fun. What a fun episode. Video games. I think next week we're going to have a really fun one. And you know what? I think the week after is going to be awesome too.
Yep.
It's just what I think.
It. Yeah.
It's my gut feeling.
I'd love to hear what games, we really missed, or which of these like people have actually played. Hopefully comments on this one could be fun.
Absolutely. And that's a great point. If you like what you heard, if you didn't like what you heard, like we care, please share. Sharing is caring. So share this with your friends, your family, people you don't even know. Just share the link. Put it on like a story. Comment on it. Like Todd said, I think it'd be really interesting to hear what you all think are favorite games or best game of all time, etc. I know we probably scratched the surface. There's other games that we just
there's
didn't
so
really
many
get
I
a
can
chance to talk
mention
to.
too. Yeah.
And that's the thing with these podcasts. We're trying to keep it long enough where we've got your attention span, but also short enough where we don't go on forever, because there is so much to talk about in any one topic. So, give us any feedback that you got. We love that you tuned in. If you got any high fives, feel free to put those in the comment section. We're always about, spreading those positive vibes.
Right.
So that is the goal this week. Go out and give someone a high five. Give someone, a smile on their face. Make them feel loved. Make someone feel happy. That's the idea.
Let someone know you're their high five of the week. That would be a fun way to do it. You are my high five of the week. You know what? I'm going to do that in real life. I'm going to try that.
I will do that as well.
I'll report back how it goes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We should do that. We'll both find like our first real world one and report back on how that went.
It's great.
Like you get great service at a restaurant or something, right? Whatever it is. Like I think that'd be kind of cool.
I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
So can't wait to hear about it. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. What a great episode. Thank you for joining. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.
All right.